What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Hope you're staying a lot warmer than me over here in cold New York, which is exactly why I thought we would switch things up today and head on over to Dubai to have a conversation with our good old buddy, Carl from the moon. Now, you guys might be familiar with Carl. He does a lot of TA and fundamental analysis as well. And he's also known for his infamous $5 million Bitcoin price prediction. But in today's video, we're going to talk about why he's actually started to allocate some of his portfolio to altcoins, where he sees the potential top, what his strategy is for actually exiting out of the markets when the time comes, and why he thinks that Bitcoin could hit $700,000 by the end of this year. So if that sounds good to you, we're going to hop back into the studio and get up with Carl.
All right, guys. So today we finally have a much anticipated collaboration with Carl from the moon. Carl started his channel right around the same time that I did. We've lived through a lot of the same things. You know, we've seen the altcoin rally of 2017, the bear market, and then, the new blood coming back in. And now we're here again with the crazy DeFi NFT crazes. So Carl, welcome to the channel. If you just want to give everyone a little bit of a background of like who you are, how you got involved, and yeah, I guess we could start there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the channel. I'm a fan. I think that, I've been following your channel as well ever since way back when we both started our channels. Good job on the channel, bro. I think we have both just exploded in the past few months here because the crypto market is just absolutely going insane. I think that's very cool. So congratulations on your success, man. So yeah, I got started back in 2017 with crypto. I was previously a gold bug, actually. I was holding a lot of gold. I was interested in gold because of all the obvious reasons that we know now: the Federal Reserve, the money printing, and the 2008 financial crisis. So I had the backstory to why Bitcoin matters even before I learned about Bitcoin, which is not very common. I think most people, learn about Bitcoin in the hype cycle. They just see the prices going up and then they learn about the Federal Reserve and all this stuff. So I did it the opposite way, which meant that the first day I heard about Bitcoin and the first hour of research, it clicked like this. I immediately knew this is it. This is going to change everything. So I got super nerdy. I started to research every single day, watching videos on YouTube, reading books, and doing all that stuff, podcasts. I think that's very important to know what you're in, what you're buying. So that was a very important thing for me to get so much information as possible about it. And that's why I started to follow YouTube channels and follow authors, and I started to read books and stuff. And after a while, I felt also like, hey, why not educate people about this stuff and learn by teaching? So that's why I got the idea of creating the YouTube channel. And yeah, I guess our stories are very similar. We started the channels throughout the bear market, grinding throughout the bear market, and here we are today. Crypto markets are back in bull market, and it's a great day it's a great time to be alive. Not only because of crypto doing well, but also because of the fact that it's such an interesting time in general. Look at the world right now. It's I don't think you could find a more weird or more crazy time than right now. It's like
Everything that's happening in the world right now is the perfect advertisement for why we need Bitcoin, with all the, the turmoil, the stimulus going crazy in the US happening all the time. We have another 1.9 trillion coming as well. And we did see, I don't know if you know this, but the last time we had it, the $1,200 stimulus, Coinbase saw exact deposits for $1,200 that exact week. And you know what people were doing with it, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing the companies put it on the balance sheet. We'll get to that in a bit. But the one biggest difference I noticed, and like I said, I've followed you pretty much since the beginning. You used to be almost arguably, people would say, a Bitcoin maximalist, or at least that's how you presented yourself. And recently I've noticed you've been dabbling in a little bit more of the altcoins. So can I ask why personally you changed your opinion and why you've decided to start looking into altcoins, and then maybe tell us a little bit about, what your diversification strategy is for some of these altcoins?
Yeah. So back in the previous bear market, I actually sold all of my altcoins. I don't remember the exact date, but it was slightly, it was very early in the bear market. So I got the first like 50, 60% hit, but on some of these altcoins, but I sold all of them. And this was a very good thing because obviously I didn't write it down to this 99% crashes that we saw in so many altcoins. And then during the bear market, I was 100% Bitcoin. I was doing Bitcoin trading instead of altcoins because altcoins were boring. Some altcoin swing trades here and there, of course, but nothing more than that. And I mean, nothing really changed. I don't think that my view fundamentally on altcoins has changed very much. I still believe that Bitcoin is the king of crypto. However, I always said on my channel, even in the bear market, I told people that, of course, there are altcoins out there that are very valuable, that will change the world in some aspect of life. And Ethereum is a good example of an altcoin that truly has huge adoption. I wouldn't say huge adoption, but in crypto terms, it has a lot of projects using the network, right? So I would call it a great adoption. I mean, of course, we're nowhere near mass adoption. Not even Bitcoin has that, right? But I think Ethereum is proving to be useful. People are using it. And when I buy an altcoin, I want to make sure that I'm buying something that people are using, and preferably a few thousands of people. I mean, I don't want just like a dozen people using this altcoin. So it has to be use case that people are actually using. And that's why I think Ethereum is very, very good to have exposure to. So I have a bunch of Ethereum. I actually made a few videos about when I bought Ethereum. I started accumulating Ethereum, I think it was slightly more than a year ago. I started to convert some of my Bitcoin into Ethereum. And then also, like, I think 3 months ago, I converted an additional 15 Bitcoin. So 15 of my Bitcoin into Ethereum, because I saw that we were technically bottoming out. We got a nice little reversal pattern. And also, I am bullish on Ethereum. I think Ethereum is fundamentally something that is here to stay. And when I see something being low, I like to buy. And, buy low, sell high. For the long term, I wouldn't say that I'm here to hold Ethereum for the next 20 years, like I do for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I'm holding to the grave. Like,
yeah,
there's no.
Me too. By the way,
Yeah, exactly. So I guess people think I'm a Bitcoin maximalist because I was hating on altcoins in the bear market, but I wasn't really hating on altcoins. I was just simply saying to people that, why hold something that is just going to completely collapse in the next few months? Like, sure, we're going to see a pump every now and then, but I think what I was just waiting for is the bull market, because we know that when Bitcoin goes up, that's when the speculative mania comes in, and that's when you want to go into altcoins. So for me, altcoins is more like a swing trade. It's more of a window of opportunity where you want to get in and make money. It's not something where I would necessarily accumulate for the long term. And if that makes me a Bitcoin maximalist or not, I'm not so sure. But I do hold altcoins. Ethereum is my biggest altcoin holding. It's actually more than 10% of my portfolio. And then I have a few DeFi coins also that I bought to get some exposure to DeFi. And I've also been investing in some in projects, like private sales and seed rounds and stuff. So yeah, I don't think I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. But I truly think that Bitcoin is the most important crypto by far in this space.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin has proven itself as the digital gold, and I've always kind of looked at, I always looked at Bitcoin and altcoins separately. I do see Bitcoin as the digital gold. It's not like a stock or anything like that. Whereas these altcoins, the way that they come, across to me is they're more like stocks. You're investing in the company, even though I know they're utility tokens, whatever. But, at the end of the day, people are rooting for these coins because of the projects, because of what they're doing. Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO. It doesn't have an office. It does what it does, and it does it well. It transfers value across the world for a very small amount in a very quick time. And that's really all it was designed to do. In fact, Satoshi kept the code simple for that reason. He didn't want the upgrades on it. It did what it did very well. And I agree with you on Ethereum. If I had to pick another longer term hold, I would bet on Ethereum as well. just simply because the network effect, it has the most users and there's a lot of upgrades coming to it. So, you see a lot of people that get left behind in history, when they said, the automobile will never work because like it can't pull you through mud. You know what I mean? Like the way a horse could, and people are going to die in accidents. It's just they don't want to admit that we're going this route. We're going digital. This is just the way things are. Look at what we're doing right now. I mean, you're in beautiful Dubai, and I'm literally like in 2 feet of snow in New York, and yet we're having a conversation right now, right? So, talking about the altcoins, though, you do admit that there is sort of a profit strategy, which I agree with you. What do you sort of see as the way to play the altcoins? Because we did see 8,000 of them come out in the past 4 years. 7,800 of them are down 90%. So, obviously holding everything isn't a good strategy. So what are you looking to do to profit the most from this cycle?
Yeah. So taking profits, I think, is so important because everyone who was in the previous cycle, you and me included, we know that most people, they became millionaires overnight almost when the speculative mania really reached its top. But almost everyone just kept holding and just sank down with the ship, and just you don't want to be that guy. You want to make sure to take profits, even if it's only taking out the initial, which is so easy. But even then, people get so greedy, and this greed is very, very dangerous. And this greed is why we see these huge cycles. And like simply taking out the initial, like that should be such an easy thing for people, especially if you have an altcoin that went 3x. I have like a rule. If an altcoin that I have goes 3x, I take out the initial because now I cannot lose my money. My money is safe. I literally took out the amount I put in. So now the rest is just house money. The rest is just play money. And if it goes down to zero, then, well, I took a risk. And I think that's important. I think that's a good strategy for many people. And also, like, of course, if it goes 100x after I took profits, then some people might think, oh, that was a bad thing. But hey, taking profits is never a bad thing. Taking out profits, I think that should be, especially if it's life-changing money. I mean, I've seen people that put in a few $1,000s in an altcoin, and then it goes 50x. And this money truly is life-changing for them. At that stage, sell half. Come on, sell half. It's life-changing money. You cannot afford to lose this money again because it can transform your life. So I think greed is something we really have to pay attention to. We have to be aware of the fact that we are emotional beings. We're humans, and we have to pick strategies and then stick to the strategies. We have to kind of act as robots, whether it's trading or investing. I think it's very important to turn off the emotions, pick a strategy and stick to it, whether it's dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin or taking profits in altcoins. I think it's very important to have a clear vision of what you're actually going to do and then just go with it.
I think the emotional thing that you said is probably the hardest, even for sometimes even me, because like you will have something performing very well and, you get that high and you're like, okay, this is it. We're going to keep going, but you have to step back and have that plan set into action because that, like you said, that happened to me in 2017. I was the guy that held a lot of these projects, down. And, back in the day, I might've gotten in a little bit late, you could say, because I didn't have, obviously I didn't have that much money to invest at the time. I was very new to it, but, I had invested in projects like Neo and Icon, just to name a few. And I watched Neo. I bought at $4, watched it go up to $180. Never took profit, only to watch it come almost. I mean, thank God I was able to get away with a little profit, but the profit that I left on the table by simply, not actually, realizing how crazy that price action was back in the day. And I think one of the biggest things that I tell people now is don't get married to these altcoins. I mean, it could be the next greatest thing, but chances are it probably isn't, and that's the reality of it. But when your coin's up 20x, doesn't matter. That's the best coin in the world. If you say anything, I'm unfollowing you and talking. It's like, all right, bro, but go through a full cycle, come back and tell me you feel that same way about it again, the next time around. So
exactly. I think, yeah, I mean, Probably because our channels have now blown up. We have so many new people into this space. And I think that, I mean, also like my friends, some of my friends, they're jumping into crypto right now. And when I hear them talking, I can hear that they have no clue what a bull and bear cycle is. They think it's just going to be like an endless summer of altcoins just popping and Bitcoin going to go up forever.
Dogecoin to $1.
Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to educate them as much as I can, tell them that, hey, I've been through like a war. I mean, I've been through bad times. I mean, we've all been through it, right? I mean, people think it's easy to hodl, but like, it's actually not so easy to just hodl. I mean, it's a tough path. Like, of course, you just hold, but when you see the Corona dump, when you see like huge spikes up and down, like it is something you have to kind of pull through, and you learn from it, and you become hardened from it. And I think that these newbies, they just don't know. And that's
I
what I'm afraid.
I personally know someone. I'm not going to mention their name. They're actually someone in the space that sold a substantial portion of their Bitcoin at the Corona crash. We fell 50% in like 2 days, and yeah, I mean that just blows my mind. Like you sold the majority of your Bitcoin at like 3,600. And we're at 50 now. Like, and that's the emotions, right? They can go in both directions. When it's going to the upside, you want to just keep piling your money in. And when it's going to the downside, you want to sell. And it's the opposite of like, you know, like a stoplight, like green is go, red is stop. But for me, it's like green is stop and red is go. Like I love the red days. Like I'm like, yes, another opportunity to actually buy the dip. And it does become a meme after a while, but it's a proven strategy. I mean, if you just look at, if you had just dollar cost average, I mean, you can go to actually dcabtc.com. It's a website. You pick the timeline, you pick the amount. There's no better proven strategy, you know, when it comes to Bitcoin specifically. Altcoins, as you said, are a bit of a different animal. And actually, I want to get back on that. So we talked about the fact you realize altcoins can outperform Bitcoin short term. You are allocated, but do you have an exit strategy for? I mean, you said you're not going to hold altcoins forever. So what is your ultimate exit plan? And as far as like the Bitcoin top, are we going to keep following this 4-year cycle? Or do you think that with all this new institutional and publicly traded companies being interested, is it going to be different this time? Are we going to just shatter the whole paradigm? What do you think?
Yeah, everyone always says that this time is different. And I don't think that any time ever is different. I think it's always very similar. So I know that some people are saying that because of the institutions, now we're not going to see a big bear market, or now we're just going to correct 50% and then continue to pump to 1 million. And whenever you hear people say these things, I mean, you have to be cautious and realize that this is what people say in a bull market. And in a bubble, people will always expect the prices to go higher, and people will always say that this time is different. Why are they saying this? Well, because they're sitting on a ton of this coin, whether it's Bitcoin or altcoins. People have exposure to this this asset, so of course they will hope that this time is different, because they don't want to think that maybe what they're holding is going to go down another 80% and the whole net worth is going to be down 80%. So yeah, like when you're talking to someone holding Bitcoin, of course they will be bullish, you know. And I try to always be very objective. Like on my channel, I got a lot of hate back in the days, and even now, because I always try to stay objective. And if I see a bearish trend, I will talk about it. If I see something bad happen, like I will address it. I think objectivity is very, very important. And that's why I'm also entertaining these more bearish scenarios. So, for example, like I think Bitcoin could easily go down below 30,000 again. I think that's very, very possible. Some people think that we're never going to do that again, just because, I don't know what reason. They just look at the chart and they see, oh, it's just going to continue to go up here. Like we haven't had any major correction in the past 1 year now. We didn't, from the Corona dump, we've basically been going up without any bigger correction, more than 30%. And when you look at previous bull markets, we usually see, even in a bull market, 40% corrections. So what we can.
Well, but do you think that that's a little different this time because of the newer interest? You have that stability of the guys like Michael Saylor's buying in, and maybe, who knows, it could be Apple. I mean, do you think that maybe, because over time, the volatility, I do believe, is going to get less and less. So do you think that maybe the reason we're not seeing those is, we're going to, this time we get only the 30, maybe next cycle we get 20, and then maybe Bitcoin gets boring after that, right? I mean,
That's a good point. That's a good point, and I do agree with you that the volatility will go down as the liquidity goes up, because it's obvious. If you have a small stone, it's easy to move. A big rock, a big boulder is harder to move. So, of course, as more people jump in, as institutions come in, it will be harder to move Bitcoin, and the volatility will go down. But what I'm saying is that when institutions jump in now, yes, in the short term, because of this buying power, literally it will be harder for Bitcoin to go down because the demand is bigger. But what happens is that because of the fact that institutions are buying, this leads, in my opinion, potentially to a speculative mindset from the mainstream. Everyone is looking to Bitcoin. Hey, look at this. Institutions are buying Bitcoin. Everyone is going into Bitcoin. So what could happen is that we see the bull cycle go much, much higher than it maybe should go, which always happens, by the way. 20,000 was overbought back in 2017. Obviously, we had a correction. The same will happen now. And so without the institutions, maybe Bitcoin would go up to $150,000 and then correct. With the institutions, maybe we're supposed to go up to 200,000 and then correct to 300,000. But maybe this speculative mindset, and when people overestimate how much money can come in from institutions in the short term, people will maybe buy up the Bitcoin price to $700,000 before the end of this year. But these people that drive the price from let's say 100,000 up to 700,000, many of these people, they have no clue what really Bitcoin is. They are just buying because the price is going up and because they heard that the institutions are buying. But the institutions, they can only support the price up until a certain point, right? So that's why I think that this time is not going to be different. It's going to be very similar to what we've seen before. We're going to see a huge blow off top, whether it's at 300,000 or 700,000. That remains to be seen. But with the institutions coming in now, it is possible that this cycle is a little bit different, where we might see a top that kind of goes higher than previously. But what I think is that if we see a top up to, let's say, $700,000, just to pick a number, then a correction of something like 90% is very, very likely to occur. There's no way we're going to 700,000 and then just going down 50%. That is not going to happen, in my opinion. So basically, the higher we go, the lower the correction in relative value. So that's my opinion. And a more conservative target for me is like $200,000 to $300,000 before the end of this year. But I could easily see Bitcoin do something insane, something crazy where we go much higher. But like I said, the bear market will be harsh.
No, I agree. And I personally don't think we've seen the blow off top yet. Some people were freaking out about the monthly candle for January, but, because it had a lot of selling pressure, even though it was still green. But then we still closed out higher. I mean, we closed out 33. And then we closed out 45, and change. So we're still climbing upwards. So I do agree that there will be cycles, but I kind of want to end on something that you're really well known for, I think, at this point, or if people don't know you. By the way, if you guys are enjoying this, definitely, hit the like button, check out Carl's channel, all the links in the description below. But the biggest thing that I find with when I think about the moon, Carl, is your infamous $5 million Bitcoin price prediction, right? You've always said that you see it going to 5 million, but yet here you are talking about a correction back down to potentially lower than 30K. So, what is, like, how do we get to 5 million? What's your time horizon on this? And that's just a crazy number. So, like, how do we get there? And what is going to push Bitcoin to that? Because you said even the institutions, Kathy Wood came out and said if they put, I think it was 10% of the top companies, S&P 500, you're only going to push Bitcoin up maybe, I think she said 200. I think it's a little higher than that. It might be close to 400, but that's still a long amount away from 5 million. So.
Yeah, for me, it's very simple. Bitcoin, in my opinion, is the best form of money in the world that we have. It is the best store of value in the world that we have. It is a better gold than gold because it is easier to send, it's easier to divide, it is easier to store, it is cheaper to use, and it's more secure. And you can fill a whole book with reasons why Bitcoin is better than gold. So I mean, the gold market cap, that's the first easy target, $10 trillion for Bitcoin. So that's a 10x from here. So let's say $500,000 for Bitcoin. That's easy. That's conservative. I'm so confident in that I don't think I've been more confident in anything else before when it comes to like investments or whatever. Like I'm super confident in $500,000, and this I think can easily happen within the next 5 years. I think it's extremely likely to occur within the next 5 years. Yeah, not only because of the fact that Bitcoin is better than gold, but also we're seeing the whole macro stage is perfectly set up for Bitcoin. Money printing. We're seeing the Federal Reserve, we're seeing the banking system completely collapse under its own weight. They're printing money like never before. And this fiat system is a finite system. It will end at some point. It's a system that it's not a closed system. It's like a leak. It's leaking. It's just like a ship on the ocean. You have a leak somewhere, inevitably it will just sink. And that's the same with the dollar and all of the fiat currencies out there. There's a leak. They can print it. So inevitably it's going to collapse, just like all thousands of fiat currencies before the dollar. You can literally not find a single fiat currency in the history of humankind that ever survived the test of time. They all died. There's no reason to believe that the dollar would be any different. So the question is, what happens when the fiat system collapses? Because the fiat system currently is worth approximately $100 trillion. So where is this value going to go? And so the money market, 100 trillion. Well, someone might think that gold is going to take a lot of this money, and I think that it's a reasonable thing to assume, because gold has been around for thousands of years, and it's been the money that humankind has used. But in a digital world, we need a digital currency and a digital money, and Bitcoin is this. And this $5 million prediction is very simple. It's just assuming that Bitcoin, being the best form of money in the world, is eventually going to soak up this $100 trillion market cap. And if that happens, easy, that means 100x from here, because Bitcoin is currently approximately $1 trillion. So Bitcoin could go 100x from where we are right now. That's my opinion. And this is, like I said, based on the fact that Bitcoin is fantastic. It is absolutely revolutionary in terms of money, and also literally everything that is happening right now around the world is the exact scenario for which Bitcoin was created. So you're seeing like the perfect storm for Bitcoin, and the more money they print and the more institutions that jump in, the more people will realize that this is it. Bitcoin is it's here to stay. And in my opinion, Bitcoin has so much momentum now that it's inevitable. Like, this is now an inevitability. Maybe back in 2012, 13, 14, you could have made the case that maybe something could happen. I mean, it was riskier back then. Some people, they hate themselves because they didn't buy Bitcoin back at $100. But back at $100, Bitcoin didn't have as bullish of an outlook as it has today. Right now, the momentum is so strong that the risk is lower today. And I think that, Bitcoin 100x could easily happen. And basically, if Bitcoin takes over 100 trillion, then there you go, $5 million per Bitcoin. But obviously that would be in today's money, because if the whole market cap, because I mean, if
see,
the
that's
dollar,
the thing. That's the thing. I not to cut you off, but that is the thing, because you have to take into consideration inflation, right? $5 million Bitcoin does sound crazy, but look at the stuff your grandfather was able to buy with $1 or $5 back in the day versus now. I mean, the money itself is losing value. The way that I tell people, when you make an investment in a home, even if you pay it off totally, and then in 30 years you sell it for more, if you actually look at the inflation, your home didn't get better. It didn't like increase in value. It's just that the unit of account that you used to represent your house lost value over those 30 years. So now it takes more of those to purchase the same house, whereas Bitcoin has been consistently doing the opposite. Actually, I don't know who to give credit to this. I saw it on Twitter, but somebody was like, Bitcoin will always be closer to zero than to the top because there is no top for Bitcoin. You know, and
Yeah.
I just thought that was a crazy
Yeah,
crazy
it's a
quote.
good point. Yeah, I mean, so basically, what I think is that when the dollar is worth zero or close to zero, then Bitcoin, in terms of dollars, will probably be worth 13 quintillion dollars or something like that, some extraordinary number, right?
Just
But it's not
pull
gonna
a Argentina or one of
exactly
those things.
pure
Yeah.
hyperinflationary numbers, and but so basically, the purchasing power of Bitcoin will go up to the equivalent of 5 million. So this means that, in my opinion, within the next 20 years, I believe that you will be able to buy with one Bitcoin a private jet, for example, for $5 million approximately. So that's kind of a better way to phrase it, I guess, and to measure it, because that's the thing with the dollar. The fact that it's inflating means that it's not a good measurement of value. It's just like trying to if you have a watch on your wrist that is always changing direction and always going back and forth, up and down, you cannot tell the time because it's not meant to measure the time in a reliable way.
And they've come out and admitted that is their strategy, printing. I mean, they're like, that is what we're doing. And I like how you pointed out the you know, fiat currencies. I mean, people talk about the US dollar, you know, being this like ultimate world currency, but when you really look at the history of the US, you know, we've only been a country for like 300 and something years. You know, I mean, technically, 1776, that was the good old, Constitution. So it's still relatively new. But considering what Bitcoin has been able to prove in just a short 12-year period versus, a lifetime of fiat, 5,000 years of gold, I think it'd be crazy not to own some. Like, it would be irresponsible not to at least have allocation, and considering even what you just said to me. So for everyone out there who thinks that 50,000 is too high, well, when we're still talking about 100x from here, is kind of a no-brainer. So
yeah, I tell people all the time that it's riskier to not buy Bitcoin rather than actually buying Bitcoin. If you have zero Bitcoin, you are taking a huge risk because you're missing out on a potential easy 10x, but potential 100x from here. And if you buy one Bitcoin, like let's say this, if you put in $1,000 into Bitcoin, you can only lose $1,000. You cannot lose more, but you have the upside potential of potentially making 100,000. So the risk reward ratio is absolutely beautiful and something we've never seen before, because the risk in Bitcoin is so low, in my opinion. We talked about it, the momentum. The momentum for Bitcoin is absolutely so powerful that the risk is very, very limited. The risk in Bitcoin is much lower than any other altcoin or any other asset out there, in my opinion, based on what's happening in the world. So when you get the low risk with the astronomical reward, the ratio between the risk and reward makes it so attractive to me that I have my whole wealth in Bitcoin and crypto, and I'm comfortable.
It checks off every single box for me. And, we should probably get around to wrapping this up soon, but I'm really enjoying this conversation. Thinking about, from a Western point of view, it's like, okay, great, we can invest. It's a better hedge against whatever. We can make money. Great. But when you look at, what's happening in what was it, Nigeria or something that they came out and were talking about, they can't even keep up with it. And you're just seeing all this hyperinflation in all these different countries who are actually turning to Bitcoin out of desperation. It's not even like, oh, let's just speculate on this asset. It's like, no, this is better than what we actually have. So when you have that coupled with, this endless, printing going on here, the uncertainty with whatever's happening in the world, like you said, it's crazy times earlier. It just all seems to point to Bitcoin to me. Not like Bitcoin's going to solve world hunger. I'm not saying it's going to do that, but I mean, it's just when you look at the history of fiat and you look at the options out there, plus not to mention, you actually have the network. Let's forget about the money. Let's talk about hash rate being, the highest it's ever been, the most secure network. I mean, if you're going to send $1 million, I would use Bitcoin over one of these other altcoins. I don't, you see these things getting hacked and double spends and all these different things. I mean, it's the most secure network on planet Earth. So yeah, man, Carl, thank you so much for coming on the channel. I love talking to a fellow Bitcoiner and about how it's just it really is just an amazing time to be alive. And anyone who's watching right now, you guys are so early. If you think you're late to the party, it's just getting started. I mean, 5 million Bitcoin, crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
thank
Carl,
you so much for having me on the channel. I'm very, very honored to be on the channel, and I think that, I mean, everyone on the CryptoZombie channel, leave your comments down below. Do you want us to do more of these collaborations? I think we should do it. I think this conversation was absolutely amazing.
Carl kind of pulled me out of my little my little rock I was under. I used to do a lot of collaborations, and he was like, hey man, we should get up. And I was like, yeah, and I'm really glad we did this. And I hope you guys found value out of this. If you did, definitely drop a comment. Go check out Carl's channel, link below. We have a very similar sort of styles. Carl, I think you're a little heavier into the TA than my channel, but still lots of fundamentals. Carl's got that background. Like you said, he was into gold before he even knew about Bitcoin. So definitely check it out. It's always good to do your own research. Be well diversified. None of us are experts. I don't think there are experts, but I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I like to think after you live through a bear market, you're kind of a crypto expert, but I'm not legally allowed to say that. So
yeah,
Carl, thank you so much. Is there anything that you want to leave my subscribers with before we go?
I think that was an interesting thing. This there are no experts. I think it's funny because experts, they usually tend to say that, hey, I'm not an expert. However, the newbie, the guy who just come into crypto, they are usually the people that are the loudest, and they will say this coin is the best and Bitcoin is going to do this and hey, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I mean, both of us living through the bear market, doing videos every single day. At this stage, I feel like, I mean, it's not like we're experts, but we do know a lot. And I think that that's probably the reason why you started your channel and why I started my channel. You learn by teaching. And I think that everyone out there, if you want to learn more about crypto, definitely, I mean, subscribe to CryptoZombie, perfect. And also to me and everyone else out there. I think that all these crypto channels provide so much value, and any asset that you're holding, you need to know what it is. So knowledge is key. That's what I did in the beginning. I learned so much every single day, just grinding. So everyone out there, do your own research all the time, not only for Bitcoin, but also for the altcoins that you're buying. Don't just buy completely randomly, because you will end up buying some scam. So be careful out there, do your own research. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on the channel.
It's a lot harder to sleep through a 30% correction when you don't actually believe in the asset that you're holding. I'll tell you that, man. I sleep like a baby. Bitcoin's down 30-40%. I'm fine, because I know what I hold, and I believe in what I hold. And it takes that time. So Carl, you are the man. Thank you so much for coming on the channel. Everyone, once again, check out Carl's channel, smash the like. If you want me to start doing more collabs with Carl and other creators, let me know. We're here for you guys. Without you, we're nothing. We're just guys talking to the camera, right? So thank you again, Carl. And yeah, so guys, that's it for me. And until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.